All right, let's take a quick look. The market, we're setting up to open in about a minute time. Today's Tuesday, the 2nd of April, and let's take a quick look at what is going on here. So the market looks to follow through after hitting a new high for the year, and we're still early in that count, and we will be looking at places where we can find resistance levels. All right, here we go. All right. So the market is, actually the S&P is up 5, but the NASDAQ and the Dow are starting to open a little bit lower. And this market crossed above this, the Dow at the very least has to hold this high in order for it to confirm that we're getting above this buy setup, and that's very bullish. All right, let's take a look at some of these names. SVMK, some news. Okay. All right, so they came up with something new. Still within the context. All right, so we finished this countdown intraday and hourly basis on the on SVMK. Now we can see if there's a follow through for another sell setup for 913.9 pattern. The only thing is that we're starting to see a little bit of rollover on the MACD and the stochastic. So, and I also on the daily we're at 7. So keep that in mind. And if you've been watching, we do have an 18.5 price target, but as we mentioned yesterday, if you're within a couple pennies, a couple percentage, and you're watching the market closely, then you don't have to wait for 18.5. It's within the context. Again, you're only selling a portion of it. You should be selling a portion of it if you use our strategy so that you can take advantage of more upside in the short term. SGMO is up huge today. All right, so one of their drugs had an upbeat trial data, so that's why the stock is up. Seems like some of these crypto stocks are also moving. I mean, they've been moving for quite some time, but it seems like they're trying to get back to, or at least reverse that negative downtrend that it had last year. So it's gaining some upside momentum here. And these are Bitcoin stocks. Delta Airline is going higher. So GBTC is the ETF that that hold Bitcoin stocks, or at least blockchain companies, as you can see here. So that's also moving up 17% for the day. There's obviously some big moves and big news coming out of that, so that wouldn't be a surprise. Take a quick look. Index. Let's see what's there. So yeah, Bitcoin's up 15% for the day, and it's been a while since that's happened. So I'm sure that's the reason why they are moving. So this is a big news coming out after the SEC pushed its decision to May. All right, so it's really nothing solid. More hype, in my opinion. But let's take a quick look at some ideas out here. Upwork, now it's printing on a negative or on an 8 and a buy setup, so that should be in the short term getting a little bit of support. I mean, this is really where you wanted to see the stock close below and confirm. So it seems like there is a little bit of support here on that last sell setup from February. So that's not surprising at all. That's why we take profits around that area, because we are anticipating that there would be some support, even though technically it broke these two levels, but from a timing perspective, it has not. And it goes to show you that there are some buyers at these levels. Still believe it's still negative. So on a weekly basis, similar to what we saw in Best and the other companies that after making a quick new high, reversed and obviously continue to go lower. So same with Upwork. We could be looking at something similar. So any opportunity for sellers, I think it will come in the next few weeks. Let's go to daily on Best after it did something similar to Upwork. So something similar after it broke down here, did a little bit of a counter rally, but before it resumed its downtrend. So something similar could be expected out of this company. SVMK trying to push above 18.5. That's a 5-minute chart. The hourly. Right. So the S&P now went negative, pushing it on that resistance level, on that ascending channel. And probably redraw another channel on the bottom of it. Right around here. All right. Let's look at some of these other high-flying stocks we spoke about. Lyft, an hourly is still setting up the buy setup. Let's look at Levi's. So it's holding this support line created back when on an hourly basis. And last week was a little bit of a rally. Now we want to see if that holds on an hourly basis. DJIA, this one we talked about yesterday. and be coming down for some support level, which is a good sign. I do like this company. And anything around this level, in my opinion, is a good buy with the huge volume. Keep an eye out on that. Solo, same deal. AQMS, same deal. They all look pretty good and starting to really consolidate and get a small range. And I think this could be prime for a big move if we can get out of this, above this 10-day moving average. That could power through. So anything above this is a good buy. Anything below this is a good stop loss. Especially with the count starting to show 340. So that's still a big range. But again, if you limit your dollar participation positions, then you should be okay. Above 335, 337 is good. I'll get back to 4.25. So technically, anything to break above 320 actually is a pretty good buy too. About 3.25 probably, right around here. And stop loss remains the same. It'd be nicer to see this cross above on the hourly and the 200 bar moving average. From an intraday perspective, you can even use this as a stop loss area. Between these two areas are good stop loss levels. And again, this could be a fast mover, so we can give up a few on the upside. So long before they really start to move. TGTX, Huya, wait for this thing to come down. It's getting tired, hopefully here. Come back down here. Get another opportunity to buy it. Look at some of the Neo. This one we talked about also. DMA. These buy attacks are going up. This looks interesting. It's been getting sold since the open. GMO. Riot. XNet. This was a short we had a while ago. We've had this short since 13.25. So it's come down huge since then. Might be too early to tell, considering what's going on in the crypto sector. Overstock, obviously not a surprise that they're moving with the cryptos. Those are the high flying stocks with big volume. SRPT is now finished its buy setup here, nicely supported, just a little bit below 200-day moving average. All right, let's get back up here. CGC, it's getting closer to 8. See, never closed below this support area, so it's not surprising that it's holding there. Worked in positive Tilray. This is still within the buy setup, and that could be turning also. The short buy attacks, not really getting pummeled, so that's fine. Facebook. It's a little bit of an island here, so see where that one breaks. They're coming out with earnings at the end of the month, towards the end of the month. Right, so we're in 15 minutes into the open, and we can look at other ideas out there. Amazon, sell at 4. That could continue get to 9. Take a quick look at the VIX. All right, so it's holding its left shoulder. If you look at from an inverted head and shoulder formation pattern. I'm looking at the S&P. That's not really going with the VIX is. So the VIX is a bit stronger than what the stock market, the indices are showing. So could that be telling us something? Probably. So keep an eye out. The VIX has not made a new low while the market has made a new high. So that's something to consider. All right, so again, as we can see, we made a new low on the VIX, counter rallied, and now might be getting some support here. On the flip side, the market has made new highs. The Nasdaq has not followed through with the S&P and the Dow. So let's take a quick look at the car that went up last week. Obviously, this is something that's come down since this is when we were talking about it on the 26th of March. So anticipation of lift, I believe, on the IPO, but since then it was sold on the news. So it's important to have proper money management, risk management. So far, things have been a little bit quiet on some of these stocks. Just kind of follow through we can find here. This is a company that the long term intrigues us. And once it breaks through this little wedge, I think we can see this thing go back up. Solo, another interesting idea here that we also like. It looks like it is setting up, and 390, 340. Thinking about 390 would be a good buy. Big range, but you can make it so you can fine tune it. This can get back up to this level. At least this would be the resistance, close to $5. So there's some resistance here. That's why it stopped the red run here, around $4. So might have to wait for this to set up a little bit better. And there's two ways to play it. You can play it from here and here. From a 5-minute day trade, these are some of the support levels that you can watch out for. From a day trade perspective, that could look good. 375 probably challenges $4 range. So there's resistance 380 and 390. So those are two places where you might find some resistance. This is an interesting name from a swing perspective and a daily perspective. This looks like you could find a little bit of a double bottom here. We're holding this 9 for the buy setup. So for a swing, this looks interesting. So again, if it breaks above today's high, which is crossing over the 10-day moving average, this could be a nice pickup. That one. Let's see if that's something we can follow through. $4 could be the first major resistance. It is finishing on the sell setup on a 5-minute chart, so we'll see how that could pause or change direction. So back down to 365. Start to see some exhaustion here. Good lift. Again, still within the context of a buy setup on an hourly basis. GLBS, we talked about this. Right, but this never followed through, though it's setting up another base. The base continues to form here. That's interesting. These are pretty hyped up stocks and hard to find when they truly break out unless you're watching this closely. CRMD finally corrected the chart here. I think this is just a counter rally after a reverse split, which is common. Booyah continues to come down. Lenar, we're waiting for this to exhaust itself and we get back to an oversold level, and at that point we can really look at it, see how it's holding, and for a long-term perspective it could be an interesting play. Coals. Nothing too exciting here. Blink. This looks very similar to some of these other cheap stocks. TGTX. It's nice that it's coming back down a little bit, and that could set up nicely. Restoration Hardware. It's broke some support levels here, so that might continue to follow through on the downside. All right, so if we can hold this and this gets an oversold level, that could be a place to bounce. Something similar here, where after it finished its count, found some support. Once it hit an oversold level and bounced up. CGC from the hourly 913. Now could be finishing up. So you can see there are some divergences around here. This is a neat follow through, but that sell is really on a big volume. Someone had to get out. So we'll see how that plays out. Let's see. As we said, this is now following through above this and could break. That looks good. That's a nice confirm right here. Hopefully it closes above that and it looks good. This could really get up to some levels. So we could probably look at it somewhere around 88 bucks, 112 bucks. $88.75, around there. You can make that projection. All right. $61 range should offer some support. 50-day moving average. So this looks very good. So there you go. If you're looking for a nice long-term stocks, I think Etsy's good. Planet Fitness is one of my favorite. We've had this buy since it's been a while. It's $25 level. So that's almost tripled since. It's a little extended here though. And not something we chase. We'll wait for another buy setup for that to look good again. So don't sleep on this. We're at 7 now on a daily. And it's getting a little top heavy. So remember that selling doesn't really happen because there's a lot of sellers. Sometimes it's just a lack of buying that causes the stock to sell off. So right, let's keep looking. Let's see, he's going. There she is. TGTX bouncing up nicely. This is a very, really interesting stock. I think once we finish a 9 here, it could be a good buy. 770. MS blank solo. Solo still hasn't broken that, so. Oh, I did break it, but on the 9. So, like I said, there's at least enough strength to get it out of that range, today's range. Hourly. Keep an eye on that. QMS. Link. And TGTX. All right, so we got to keep an eye on those. SRPT on a long side, a long term. This is a candidate for us. Weekly is going to recapture the 50-week moving average. That would be very bullish. Just like here. So recapturing the 200-day moving average is roughly the same as recapturing the 50-week moving average. So that's a very important level to break. TEUM has been steadily going up. Now it's forming another base. But this could be a little extended, so it's not surprising if this comes back down a little bit down to the low 4s as the 50-day moving average catches up. Low 4s, high 3s. We'll see if that gets down there. So the market's down 82 points. The VIX is up a little bit. And let's look at crude oil. There it is. We've been talking about this for the last week. And it's continued to move higher. And then we have gold. Let's see how gold's setting up. That's all within this buy setup, and it's looking to form another one here. So gold has been in this sideways move for a very long time, for a few years now. I remember this run from 04 to 2011, when we had quantitative easing, and quantitative easing 3 failed to spark the next leg higher, and that was a sign that it was over. I don't know if you guys remember that, but for me, that was a watermark moment where, in Ray Dalio's words, that if you give the patient too much medicine, it becomes poison, and that's what it seemed like what happened with gold and some of these commodity related stocks and sectors. All right, so SVMK is now selling off a little bit. Try to look for some support. 1775. So you can hold that. $17.5, 1775. 5-minute chart. Put it in the 9. So closing above 1791 from this last setup right here would be good on a 5-minute basis. 1790. So some selling came in, nothing too dramatic. There's really not much volume, and so getting back to this line is to be expected. This line right here gets back to an oversold level, and then see if that can push back up. Some of these pot stocks are looking at support and bouncing, so not surprising. We have 15 more minutes, and we'll definitely keep watching some of the names that we mentioned earlier, the little ones. These are interesting names: Solo, AQMS, Blink, TGTX. Let's look at some of these other high flyers. Not interested in these. Riot, not right now. It's just too broken. And if anything, this could stay range bound for a while. After it found some bottom here, and though it had its moments here and there, it never really had that run like it did here. And that's the one where you really make a lot of money, which we did when we first started trading at these levels. Right around here. I wrote it here, wait for it to come back, wrote it here again. Shorted some Bitcoin stocks in this area. Not this one particularly, but talked about it earlier. It's one of those names. SVMK. This one I like as well. That one looks pretty good. After earnings, fill the gap. Let's keep that. See, that's why it's all in the bottom here. These are the ones that we're very interested in. But if there's just something we mentioned, Hui is another one we're really interested in. LEN. QMS start to make a move here. Get out of this 10-day moving average. That would be very bullish. VIX we like. All right. Hopefully it doesn't break out too fast until we get in. UPWK. This thing's just a beast. I'll finish at a 9. Breaking here, so this can get back out to a new high. I'd like to see it come back down though after it finishes. We could probably see if this gets a little tired here or breaks this two levels, this level of 61, 62, 62 to 64 bucks. I think we might have some resistance around that area as the stock finishes its count of a sell setup to form a 939. Match is another interesting idea here. A little cup and handle here. Cup and handle. Don't do half cups though. These drawing tools are limited, so I can't really point it out, but this looks like a cup here. You can see it here. Cup, handle. And that's certainly an interesting pattern. High probability setup, which usually leads to follow through on the upside. Right, so we have 10 more minutes to keep looking at some of these ideas. Rid of some of these names that we don't really care for anymore. Another cup and handle here. Where it broke out. Cup, handle. Interesting name. Twilio, something we bought all the way back from 35. It's over 120, 136 at the high, so that's good. XNet, this was the one that I was looking for. See, it's selling off after that news from the Bitcoin with Bitcoin stocks. Dynavax. That was a trade for us. We're here. This level. So from 15 to 22. All right, so let's see what else we can find here. So this 5 minute of the week goes below this level, 1790, and confirmed. So we can expect the next level support, which is right around 1760, 17 and a half. Hourly, that would be right around here. And we should find some support there. Etsy is going. Big volume came in after we broke through this flag pattern. And not surprising, as we mentioned before. Talked about it last week. Again, if you guys are watching the replay, thanks for spending an hour with us or a few moments, and follow us. Let us know what else we can go through for you. And we'll see you again tomorrow. 5 more minutes, 7 more minutes before we end this live session. Weight Watchers, interesting name, but this followed through with our Reco 64 to 105. Max, that was a short. Still negative. And hard time with a 200-day moving average. So the weekly, some of the internals getting better. So might find some support after it finishes at an 8 and a 9. That 18.5 could stand. And it looks like we could get a little bit of a reversal here. Maybe back to 27. 200-week moving average. This level right here. See, the stochastics are oversold. The MACD has gotten better and better. Made the lowest point here as the stock made new lows and bounced off here, and now there's an improvement in some of the internals. So that could find its way from reversing this negative trend. Put the chart here. Snapchat. This is an interesting setup. The Fibonacci tracements have pretty much held, so at each level. So we'll see where this finishes the count. Probably almost made its way all the way back. All right, we have 2 more minutes. And that's where the market is. We are down 68 as we speak on the Dow. We are above this buy setup here, and a hold and a confirm would be very bullish. So we are net long with name here and there for shorts to balance out the portfolio a little bit. Squares are positive. Where are we in the count? It's working its way. Well, let's see if there's any support in this SVMK. All right, so 9:13.9 in the 1 minute. A little bit of reversal. 5 minute 9. It's getting a nice buy here. And we'll see if we can get that to reverse nicely for the day. All right, so it's 10:30. Again, we finished another session. Thank you for watching us, and we will be back again tomorrow. And if you guys have any questions, let us know. Thanks, and see you again. Bye-bye.